Breaking up is never easy, but it's even harder when the relationship isn't toxic, it's just meh. Stuck in a gray abyss of mediocrity, you wonder, do I stay because nothing's wrong, or do I leave because not much feels right? I'm Kristen Thomas, certified sex coach, writer, vixen, inventor, amongst other things. And today I have a few Reddit posts to look at as a jumping off point to discuss why many of us stay in these just okay relationships and what to do if you are in one. If you're like one of these Redditors, hopefully this will help you navigate this tough decision and bring you some peace or closure, even if it's for a past situation. Here's the first post from our relationship advice titled, Really Struggling with Needing to End a 9+ year relationship. I, 29 female, have been with my boyfriend, 30 male, for 9 years, living together for 7. I love him so much. He's my best friend, but I just don't think we work together romantically, and we probably never have, if I'm being honest with myself. There is almost no intimacy in our relationship. He won't hold my hand, he doesn't like to cuddle, we haven't had sex in months, and we rarely ever have deep conversations. It feels like we really are just roommates. I know I'm not happy and my needs aren't being met, but thinking of my life without him makes me feel physically sick. I know that this is not a unique situation, but I just can't bring myself to do it. I feel a lot of guilt, like I've wasted his time, and I know our families are going to be really upset about it as well. Plus, I know it's going to be extremely painful, and I am afraid of being alone, especially after spending close to every day with someone and sleeping in the same bed together every night. It's hard to express the full range of emotions I have about this. I know what I need to do, but it feels like there is no good decision. Does anyone have advice on how to deal with a situation like this? Or words of encouragement from people who've been through it? First of all, this post is so relatable. The gray abyss is lonely, confusing, and full of self-doubt. In relationships like this, fear often overshadows logic, like fear of loneliness, there's guilt about hurting the other person, worry about leaving someone while they're down, and then there's fear of how's your family going to react? And that can all keep you feeling very stuck. But this could be one of the most crucial crossroads you'll ever face in your relationship because you, my dear, have a choice in this matter. You are not stuck. Perhaps the time that you have had together has pulled you into a sunk cost fallacy, like believing that, you've already invested so much time, why not just keep going and try to make it work? So here's how to look at your choices. When clients come to me with relationship dissatisfaction like this, wondering what to do, I help them explore what I call the 3 doors option. Door number 1, you do nothing. Door number 2, you ask for change. And door number 3 is you end things. Sounds too simplistic? I promise it's actually a really helpful decision-making tool. So let's take a closer look. Again, door number 1 is do nothing. You are already here. Just stay put. Do nothing. You benefit in some way from being where you are or you wouldn't still be here. Staying in your status quo can feel really safe. It just doesn't resolve any underlying issues. He may be your best friend, but you're not operating on a partner-lover level. And if that's what you need, if you need a lover and to be connected romantically to build a life with someone, then this may not be your guy. Door number 2 is you're asking for a change. If you have been unhappy for months or years, it's time to stop hoping that things are going to magically change without you making plans together. If the connection is worth saving, then have a direct and transparent conversation. But remember, actions speak louder than words. It has to come to fruition. If their boss was saying, I need you to change XYZ, if they didn't change it, they wouldn't have a job. So decide how long you can give them to show some consistency with these promised changes. Okay, if it seems like they're willing to try to cultivate something different alongside you, then go ahead and take that opportunity. But resistance to meeting your needs leaves you with decisions. Whether or not to walk through door number 3, which is breaking up. Far too many times, this is where you'll get the apologies, the tears, the promises. You'd think that stuff would have happened before when you said you weren't happy or weren't feeling connected, but the begging and bartering and promises to really change this time usually don't come until this stage. And as Mother Maya taught us, when someone shows you who they are, believe them. They have already shown you how much your relationship means to you by not putting the work in thus far. So if the threat of leaving is the only thing that really makes them want to change, it can feel like it's too little too late. Sometimes the most loving thing that you can do is let go. Breaking up isn't always failure. It can give both people space to find fulfillment elsewhere. You're not doing either of you a favor by staying in a relationship that's just limping along. You could both go find happiness elsewhere. You both deserve that. So why do disconnected relationships feel harder to leave sometimes? Let's read another post. This one's titled, How to Get My Husband, 52 Male, to Understand That He Needs to Take Charge of His Life and How He Affects Me, 50 Female, and our kids. My husband, 52 Male, is a kind man and has been a good husband to me, 50 Female. We have 2 kids, 14 Female and 17 Male. We met in university and have been together 30 years. Of course, the things that I struggle with are the same things I've struggled with for years in our relationship. I am a very driven career woman. I enjoy my work, although it is very stressful at times. I have always been the one that's involved with the kids' school activities. I've planned the social gatherings for our family and generally driven to improve my life when I struggle with anything. My husband is not terribly motivated. I'm not suggesting he doesn't have a job or help around the house, but he basically does what I would consider to be the bare minimum in order to keep me happy. My husband has a history of some depression and anxiety with remote suicidal ideation. I have talked to him about how he needs to seek help in dealing with his past and try to be supportive. He tends to shut down when we discuss it and spends time in the basement removed from us. I've talked to him about how this affects the rest of us and how terrible it must feel to deal with everything that he's been through. He sometimes agrees, but never does anything proactive about his mental health. He says counseling doesn't work. He has been a handful of times because I have helped him make the appointments. He says he's not depressed, but often has chest tightness when he is stressed. He gets upset when I suggest he should get some attention for it, suggesting he just wants my support. I don't know how to get him to understand how this isn't good for the kids and how I need him to engage with us rather than feeling like I am dragging him along. He only does more than the basics around the house when I push, and he doesn't notice when I just leave things to get messy. I cut for time from her post because it got kind of long, but she showed that over and over again, he's just not showing up. When I tell him I need him to do more, he says, it's not like I don't do anything. How can I make him understand how much this affects us? I really am trying, but I am tired of driving the bus in our family and marriage. If I didn't make plans or he didn't get invited out by friends, he wouldn't do much of anything. Ooh, dang, I mean, this guy, it sounds like he needs way more than his wife should be expected to give. As Esther Perel says, a primary intimacy killer is expecting your partner to be your entire village. You cannot make them be everything in your life. That is impossible. And frankly, that is a very unfulfilling role for anyone. And that level of pressure and expectation will absolutely destroy your relationship. Surely, his mental health has been a factor. When someone is struggling, there can seem like no good time to bring up tough conversations, or it'll feel like you are abandoning them when they really need you. So I'm sure that's been a factor for this poster. Did you see that Reddit? A guy was saying that he thought that everything was going to be just fine in his relationship and that she wasn't going to leave him because he thought relationships were about learning to be content with a tolerable level of permanent unhappiness. Ugh. I mean, these guys sound a lot alike. It feels like he's just relegated himself to being miserable, and frankly, it sounds like she's also put up with it for far too long. So, no judgment. I'm not in her shoes. I don't have kids with this guy like she does. I'm not living her life. She's clearly asked for changes. She's already gone through door number 1, and she's at door number 2. But you can't make a person change. You can tell them what you need and what you want to happen in order to continue the relationship. You two are co-founders of your family and of your relationship. Co-founders of a company would not be putting up with each other acting like this. They would end the partnership. This Redditor's vulnerability is going to be required in this situation. She's going to have to be willing to show up, state what she needs, and even if even if she doesn't know how he's going to respond. When we are showing vulnerability, that means we have to be willing to accept whatever answer they are going to give us. They may deflect and not take ownership, or they may absolutely be on board with us, but we have to accept whatever outcome arrives. But listen, if you were to talk to your spouse and they avoid action, or they make promises of change that continue to go unfulfilled again and again, you have a decision to make about how long you're going to stay at this point. Remember this: apologies without changes are simply manipulation. Don't fall for that. Okay, well, that brings us to door number 3, which is ending it. How do you break up with respect and clarity? Let's look at one more Reddit post. This one's titled, "How can I, 27 female, tell him, 30 male, I don't want to get married anymore?" We've been together for almost 8 years. First couple of years, I didn't care about marriage, but lately, I'll say at least the last 3 years, I've made it known that's what I want. I've brought up "so when" a few times, only to be met with something akin to "we will someday." Our last conversation about it was somewhat forced. Before the holidays, he had to bring up that due to his shares in his tech company, his bosses told him if we ever do get married, we would need a prenup. Which I don't care about at all. I appreciate that it forced us to have this conversation, finally, in detail. I told him I was beginning to think we were never going to get married, to which he replied he was planning to propose within the next year. I've realized that after discussion, I didn't really get excited or anything, especially because even though I said I wanted a micro wedding with maybe 10 people, including his people, he said that was too much. He is a bit of a recluse. At this point, I don't even want it anymore. It would feel like a shut-up ring and marriage at this point. But I don't necessarily want to break up, so how can I bring this up? I definitely have some advice for this one. First off, maybe start dialing it down. If you're unsure what to do, start by creating some distance. Spend less time together and see how you feel. Start detaching just a little bit. This is similar to advice that they give you in Al-Anon. This approach is because you have to focus your efforts on controlling what you can and releasing what you cannot. You cannot control when he's going to ask or if he's going to ask. All you can control is yourself. Now take some time to reassess. Like, does this distance, this withdrawal create clarity, or does it create more confusion? You might also want to reassert your desires. Like, use your time to reaffirm what you want in the partnership. Can you two change the trajectory by redefining this relationship as one that won't result in marriage? Or are you going to be able to make some shifts to where marriage is desirable for you both? You have to get some clarity on what you really want. Do you want him, marriage, singlehood, or someone else? If you can find no tangible way forward together, the relationship may have run its course. Always choose directness. If it is time to part ways, have the conversation in person or over the phone. But be honest and concise. Don't leave room for negotiation if your mind is made up. Be cautious about using minimizer words like maybe and kind of, and also don't make deals or barter to get out of the relationship, because this can create a false sense of hope for them, especially if they're not wanting to end the relationship. Let's talk moving on and how to deal with that breakup or separation. I suggest you start with some reflection. Every relationship teaches you something. This was not wasted time. It was field experience, right? Take time to process. Journal. Talk to a coach or therapist if you haven't already. Go on a walk. Talk to a friend. You need time to assess, to release, cry, laugh, and even hold space for memories of the good times. For most of us, when we leave, we can say that things weren't all bad, and you are allowed to experience the full range of human emotions and hold space even for the good times, even if you know the relationship needs to end. Now you can look back at what worked really well, what was kind of mediocre, and what you really want to be different in the future. You can even assess what part you played in the dynamic, whether you didn't maintain boundaries or you didn't pay attention to red flags early on. Every breakup is a chance to gain more understanding of what you need in life. You may also check out the concept of Ho'oponopono. That's the Hawaiian process of reconciliation. I'm not saying reconciliation is in like go fix the relationship. I mean reconcile all these things going on in your own mind, your own heart, your own head. You know how forgiveness is not for the other person, it's for yourself to give you some peace, right? It's kind of like that. Sometimes reconciliation is just for you. The process is 4 parts and involves thank you, forgive me, I'm sorry, and I love you. Look it up if you want more information. Also, find connection elsewhere. Loneliness isn't the same as being alone. Being alone or living alone also isn't nearly as daunting as some people fear it is. Join a community or a club. Get a hobby. Go to the gym. Call friends you wish you'd spent more time with lately. Or simply enjoy some quiet time to reconnect with yourself. Fill your time up with people and activities that fill your cup. Commit to some growth, whether it's through therapy, reading, consuming podcasts, or trying new things. Choose growth after a breakup. It's your best way forward. Also, believe that you deserve happiness. Actually, one of the biggest glow up factors for a lot of people after a split is their smile returns. And that, my darlings, is absolutely free. I don't know if you thought I was going to say go to the Medi Spa or go enjoy a shopping spree and you don't have to worry anymore about who's looking at your receipts, but no. No spending necessary for this glow up suggestion. If you feel you're stuck in a gray abyss of a meh relationship, facing learning to accept a tolerable level of permanent unhappiness, remember, there's no shame in choosing what is best for your future self. Sometimes leaving is the bravest and most loving choice you can make for both of you. Don't let that sunk cost fallacy rope you into staying longer than you should. If you found this video helpful, give it a like, share it with someone who needs it, and subscribe for more content on relationships, sex, and self-growth. Read my blog, Are We Breaking Up? A guide on when it's time to break up, how to execute it, and how to get over it. Consider supporting my work by becoming a patron on Patreon. Your support allows me to continue making amazing content like this, which can help you navigate life's most difficult transitions, and you'll get some cool stuff along the way. Also, if you're craving more advice and a little more intimacy, subscribe to The Dirty Bird. That is my not safe for work subscriber list. You'll get real, raw, and personal insights on relationships and sexuality. If you're ready for deeper conversations, book a session with me. I'm here to help. You can find those and a few other links in the description below. Thanks for watching.